Hello and welcome. We're going to be diving into the cart today. And the cart with an enterprise e-commerce, customized e-commerce, a marketplace e-commerce, any very detailed e-commerce scenario. It could be an auction, it could be a buying group, it could be medical. There could be some complexity that's specific to your business, and the capability for the cart to adapt to your specific business needs is going to be really critical to be able to enable the end users to self-service and for the business to be able to scale up. So we're going to dive into some different examples. Hopefully this will expose you to some new ideas that you may not have thought of and reinforce areas that you know are possible but you may not be able to achieve currently with an existing platform. Well, let's get started. Okay, so just to get started, whenever we're looking at a cart, we do generally want to keep the cart really specific to the scenario. So, in order to do this, we need to be able to cater the cart itself to the end customer. Now, in this particular case, you can see that unlike many traditional carts, this cart doesn't have imagery for the products. And for this particular group of customers, they're possibly going to be ordering a lot of items. So they need to have a quick search and ability to drill down. And then they need just an item list with item numbers. And you can see just a brief description, some additional information, and the modality of the delivery, as well as price, quantity, and subtotal. And then you can also see there's some pretty interesting information here as well, where they have this kind of dollar amount until they get free shipping. They can quickly add their carts, and then they can add items to their cart rather, and then they can either proceed to checkout or continue shopping. And there's an option to be able to bring in promotional information, etc. But kind of the interesting thing here is that the customer can actually take a few minutes and search their long list of items, and it's a very compact presentation for this particular customer. Now, if we take a look at another example, here you can see this is more of a traditional presentation style. And this particular cart has the image and the SKU. We can even do things like a rollover to get a more detailed view, kind of a preview of the product detail page. Of course, all of these links are clickable where desired. And then the unit cost, the quantity, and here you can see we're presenting a scenario where it's not just a typical individual count, but it's actually a case of items. And then you can see the subtotal, and then we have any fees that are applied. So it's possible to bring in things like customs and duties, fees, any kind of discounts, promotional information, rewards, possibly taxes, of course. A lot of times with this cart, we'll also show the option for the end user to check a box or let us know, let the customer know that once they proceed to the checkout, they can indicate that they're tax exempt, for example, these kind of things. And again, they can quickly add to the cart. And here you're seeing the autocomplete in action. So user can start typing, and it is going to show a nice intelligent autocomplete that's driven based off of Elasticsearch. So it has fuzzy logic and very immediate response times to the end user. Okay, so let's keep taking a look at examples here. Now, this example is pretty interesting because it's got this flow that it's bringing the user through right away once they add items to their cart. And here you can see with this particular scenario, they can also choose a language or a currency, and that's going to dynamically change the currency or the language information within the cart dynamically. Really cool. And of course, just an image, a little bit of detail about the product, the quantity, the unit, and then the price. And this is pretty interesting having the FOB price. And ultimately, for this particular scenario, there are different suppliers, and those suppliers have very specific kind of details that can drive the lead time. There may be a detailed quoting process, etc., that's typically in play. So the buyer is going to want to look at the supplier details in line for every one of their suppliers they're purchasing from. So they can simply expand this option and get at more detail there. Okay, now again, this is just a very traditional cart that we're looking at here, but we're also showing the discounts and the sale price information in line. So here, the second line item has a sale item. And so you can see the original versus the sale price, which is enlarged and in red. And then above it, you can see that there's a discount applied, what the discount amount was, what the kind of text or the summary text is for the discount code, and then what the final price was for this item. And in this case, it includes a sale plus a discount. Now, we can apply different business logic so that we make sure that the end user gets exactly the discount that you prefer. So maybe they can choose to have a discount code or take advantage of the sale, but they can't do both. It's up to you as far as how that business logic should work. And then here you can see that this particular discount is a auto applied discount and there are no restrictions. So this was actually automatically applied based on the preferences of the store owner. And again, you can see that we've got just a total here of the information, and just a pretty traditional presentation style overall. Okay, and this is pretty similar, but you can see that in this example, we're actually showing the discount code in a little bit more detail. And we also have the option to remove the discount code by clicking the X, this red X here, to remove the discount code. And then we also have a little add a discount code option included in this example. Okay, let's take a look at a few more examples now. Okay, so this is an interesting example because in order to complete this process for this checkout, the user is purchasing from a buying group and they have a consolidation and logistics fee that's incorporated. So essentially, items are getting purchased in bulk. Those items are then distributed in essentially a split shipping type of format on behalf of the buyers who are part of this buying group. So there's a consolidation and logistics fee, and that gets applied to the cart so that the end purchaser can see what that's going to be. That's a pretty nice feature to be able to show that up front. And this is all tied into a backend ERP system and line of business application that has APIs that we're connecting to so that we're getting real time data or updated data that is up to date using the integration platform and the ability to connect to external APIs. Okay, and then in this example, we're taking a look at, again, a pretty traditional cart. So nothing particularly, unique or special other than just showing kind of some of the variation in style that we can apply here. And then in this particular cart, we're taking a look at a very complex cart. So here you can see this is the cart, and we're seeing a breakdown of all the items in the cart. And we have the ability to come in and view the detailed items that are in each container, and then the percentage loaded of each of those containers as well. So this list kind of continues down the page, but ultimately we have a grouping of the items by container. And then we have the ability to basically quickly add items to make sure that we fill each of those containers. So each container has the ability to fill it up until it's 100% full. And then you can also see that we have a reward status that's showing, which is dynamically populating from an external ERP where we're pulling in customer data and then populating this rewards program for the end user. Now, this uses a caching system so that everything is performant. But basically, we're able to pull in very live, up to date data so that this cart view really promotes for the user to ideally get to the next level so they can get to their next reward status. And here you can see it's specifically stating how much more they need to purchase so they get an additional bonus. Okay, so now let's take a look at another example for this particular customer. So here you can see the empty cart screen, and there's a signed in view of that as well. So they have to actually sign in before they can start shopping. And we show just a nice screen for that. And then this is the signed in view. And then finally, you can see if we have a container that's not full enough, there's going to be a nice error message that shows up for the user so that they can see, hey, you need to fill this container before we're going to process this order. Typically, the container cost is pretty substantial as far as a percentage of this overall cost of the order. So the end user really needs to be able to have these kind of basic governance rules when they're on the site so that they don't make a mistake accidentally whenever they're in haste. And then here you can see the user is actually adding items and they're doing a autocomplete lookup, which is built into the platform and is part of this cart capability. Okay, so this example is another example of a multi-step checkout. And here you can see that we're just going through a workflow that includes a cart review. And the user can come in and read details about the products that are in the cart. And then they can clearly see that there are additional steps that they're going to have in the process. And then this particular cart is pretty interesting because this user doesn't have rights to be able to make a purchase on their own. So they're logged in, the system is seeing all of the discounts and the sale price and all of that. But here you can see below it says share my cart, not proceed to check out or what have you. It says share my cart, and then there's a brief description. So this particular account has a role or set of roles that are restricted as to what they can purchase. And if they don't have the rights to purchase, or maybe the dollar amount is too high for the total, then they're going to have to request a review or an approval from someone within their organization in order to make that purchase. We also have the cart where the user is purchasing from a possibly a specific location. Some of their items are available in a warehouse. Some of their items are available in a nearby store, a retail location potentially. And then some of the items may be available in a far away warehouse that's going to have a fulfillment schedule where we can bring the items to a particular store, like a retail location, eventually. And so you can see those presentation options here in this cart. So this is kind of a buy online, pick up in store, buy online, ship to store, and then pick up in store, or buy online, ship to home. And this can even include shipping from a store, like a retail location, to someone's home address. And the e commerce platform itself can handle all of these logistics. And the cart, you can see, can pull all of this data in, including inventory at specific retail locations and a store selection capability for the end user. So the user can have this persisted store. This can be based on a GeoIP lookup, a radial zip code lookup, a locator wizard, and the ability on the product detail page to choose a different store based on availability for the products whenever they're adding the items to their cart. So a really advanced capability around buying online, picking up in store in general, but generally looking for different locations. Now, this can apply not just to buy online and pick up in store, but it can also apply to lead times and splitting out orders across different geographical fulfillment centers. It's possible that you could be doing some form of drop shipping with a buying group, for example, and some of the items are available immediately in a nearby location, and we can urgently get those to the purchaser. And then other inventory counts are maybe much higher are available at a different location, but there's a much higher lead time, or maybe they're more expensive. So we want to be able to arbitrage this for the end user and present the different options intelligently. We can do that with this cart. It's very advanced and customizable. Just taking a look at a few more examples, here you can see a cart and a quote cart presented on the same screen. So this is a really nice option if you do have a quoting process so that the user can see that we are capturing the quote cart and the just traditional cart as well. And then finally, we're just taking a look here at another example of being able to order something and have a workflow that they can go through. And some of the detailed steps that they would complete are just presented to them upfront. So this is a nice way, depending on your business model, to kind of queue up the user that they're going to complete this checkout process, and these are the steps involved. Okay, so we hope that that was helpful. Whenever you're dealing with carts and you're looking at carts, one of the biggest things that we want you to know is they are very detailed. And depending on your business, you may want to do a real time lookup to an API. This particular example here actually does that. So we're actually looking up the inventory values before this order is processed, and we're doing it in real time, instantly, for this particular cart. And so this happens behind the scenes without any issue and no real notice to the user. We want you to know that there are really detailed capabilities for this cart system that can be customized to your business. That's just one example. Another example would be multilingual and multi-currency. And we really didn't go into a ton on this, but it's possible to incorporate that as well. We also have the ability for the carts to show a subscription upgrade option. So if someone isn't purchasing a subscription or an auto ship, we can show a upgrade to promote that for them. We can also show an option to purchase a membership or participate in rewards to get free shipping or benefits that will discount the cost. The list goes on and on. For some of our clients who have very specific items that maybe have variants or kits or broken out kind of customization, we're going to want to be able to present this in the cart area. For some of our clients that are in the medical field, they may have complex legal requirements depending on where items are getting shipped to, and the cart can be a great place to take care of that. At the end of the day, we built a very robust e-commerce platform that can handle literally anything in the cart. We just need to know what your requirements are. That's why we provide a complimentary discovery and a complimentary strategy session. So you can get more information, we can do the same, and we can determine if there's a good fit whenever you're evaluating your upcoming project. If you'd like to have us conduct one of these complimentary sessions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And until then, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.